Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. Alright guys, this is going to be a really fun painting for my first time painters. So going to be really simplified Monet's Poppy Field. So grab your supplies. Please make sure you take your progress photos and remember to breathe during the process of painting. You're going to do great. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the large flat brush and we're going to make a light blue. And we're going to kind of create a horizon line on here and then we'll be painting above this line. So as you make your light blue, a little bit of blue goes a long way. And it is easier to start with a little bit amount of blue and you can always add a little bit more. So I'm making mine just a touch darker so it's easier for you guys to see the line that I make show up at home. And again, just kind of mimic what you see. We're going down probably about 4 to 5 inches from the top of the canvas. And it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line. You can see that I did it in 2 sections. Um, and then we're making more of that light blue and we're going to paint above this line. So this video is really good for anybody that has never touched a paintbrush. You're going to get kind of comfortable with mixing your paint, applying paint, and then like I said, we're just going to do this simplified poppy field based on one of Monet's paintings. I did take the figures out of this painting so that way it's just the landscape. Now I am using student grade paint, so if you are using student grade paint as well, please apply it a little bit thicker. It'll make it a little bit easier for your blending. Here we're going with a medium blue, adding a little bit more blue to the mixture you were just using and applying that to the top left-hand corner. And we are overlapping the light blue with this and it is blending a little bit together. This is called wet on wet blending. Now, if you're inclined to finger paint and blend with your fingers, go right ahead and do that. It's actually a lot of fun and rather tactile. So I'm going to make that top corner just a little bit darker, adding that medium blue on there again, just so it's a little bit more intense. Now, if you are holding your breath, remember to take a big inhale and relax, just breathe. This is going to go better than you may imagine. So that was a good spot to pause the video and take your progress photo. You're going to clean your brush really good and we're going to make a light green. Just like making the light blue, start with the white. A little bit of green goes a long way. Now as we do this, maybe try a few different brush strokes as we fill in the bottom portion of this canvas. And you're going to bring it right up next to the light blue sky. And if you overlap that a little bit, that's okay as well. Basically, I'm just proud of you for painting at home and getting over kind of that first hurdle, that first painting nervousness. So after you do this, it'll kind of open up a whole new world for you and you'll realize that maybe you like painting a little bit more and you'll try some more paintings. All right, so again, apply your paint a little bit thicker. You can add a touch of water, but if you actually add water to it, it dries a little bit faster and it does thin your paint out. So I generally recommend just applying your paint a little bit thicker. So just like the sky, we're going to go a little bit darker, so add a little bit more green to your mixture. And again, just kind of observe the general place that I'm put this color. And I'm kind of slapping that color on there, and then you can wipe your brush off if you need to, wipe off excess pigment. And then we're going to go back with light pressure and blend that into the base color. So I am kind of using, like I said, light pressure, just making almost little X marks, using the ends of the bristles, and just kind of blending that darker color into the base. This is called wet on wet blending. And it is one of the more fun aspects of the painting process, especially for my first time painters. So as you're doing this, you're just observing the general shape that I'm making with each of these and mimic that to the best of your ability on your canvas. And as you do this, you are strengthening your power of observation. And that is a big art skill, is observing what you see and then trying to mimic that on your canvas. And this is a skill that gets stronger and stronger the more that you utilize it and use it in your life. You'll see it get stronger. All right, so now we're going to go to white. We're going to use some clouds, and I'm still using that large flat brush. And what we're going to do is we're holding that brush perpendicular as we touch it to the canvas. And I am kind of moving the brush in between my fingers, rotating it back and forth so that way I'm not making the exact same brush stroke. The background is still wet, so it is picking up a little bit of that blue. And then when we put it on that really light blue, it's almost going to be kind of hard to see where we're placing it. Um, so trust your instincts if it's kind of hard to see on the video of where you want your clouds. And do notice that every couple of taps, I do go back and grab more white paint and reapply. And this has a bit more contrast on top of that darker blue compared to the lighter blue. But I do recommend getting out of your chair, prop your painting up, and look at it from a distance of 5 to 10 feet away and just kind of assess how it's looking, what you like. Do you need a little more white maybe in one area? Do you want thicker clouds somewhere? And adjust for what you need. Painting is not about being perfect, but it's about just transforming this white surface, this blank surface, into something you created. And then the next time that you paint, what you learn in today's painting will make a little bit more sense, and then you will build on those skills. All right, so a good place to pause your video and take a progress photo. We're going to move down to the small flat brush. You can use the pointy brush if you need to. And there was a little house on the hill, a little white house. So we're basically using that middle flat brush to create a rectangle. And it is kind of small. It could be a square or a rectangle, whatever size that you want. And if you want to make the house bigger, go right ahead and make the house bigger. But basically just putting that white rectangle on there, we're going to use a little bit of red next. And I am moving down to the pointy brush just to give it a simple little roof. And as you use the pointy brush, you do notice that maybe I put my pinky out. I use that as a kind of steady pivot point. You can rest your forearm against the edge of the table, but we're using just the end of the brush. So kind of treating it like a pencil will make it a little bit easier for you. Now moving back to that medium flat brush, and just like we applied the clouds, we're going to do this with the foliage, but with green paint. So holding that brush perpendicular to the canvas, tapping it on there, and then pulling it right back. And just like the clouds, I am kind of slightly twisting, rotating the brush in my fingers, so that way I'm not making the exact same mark over and over and over again, giving it a little bit of variety. And going on the other side, we're going to be filling up that whole kind of horizon line with these trees, with this foliage. So if you are looking at the original Monet painting, which I recommend that you do pull that up on the internet, and maybe you notice a darker color or a different shape foliage, go right ahead and whichever one that you're looking at, the video or the original painting, you are observing what you see. So feel free to apply to your canvas what you are observing on either option, the video or the original painting. And like I said earlier, I did simplify this particular painting just for my first time painters. All right, and again, applying that paint kind of thick, getting a little bit of it down into the grassy area. We'll add a little bit more. And when Monet painted these, he did what they call plein air painting. He took his easel out into the field and painted what he saw. So if you look at his originals, especially this particular series, they are really choppy, really quick, hints of color, so you don't have to be exact as you are making this. A little hint of something goes a long way. And again, for my first time painters, if you're holding your breath right now, remember to breathe, relax. You're doing a great job. So as we're down here in the grass, a little bit closer, I did turn that brush sideways and making longer dash marks. Again, kind of giving an indication of the grass and the direction that it may be flowing. You can switch down to the small pointy brush for this part if you find that a little bit easier. And as we continue along, if you are noticing that your brush strokes get larger and larger, that means you've got probably a lot of buildup on your brush. So it is okay to wipe off any of that excess paint, grab the paint again, and then go back to your mark making. And again, remember to breathe. You're doing a great job. All right, so for this next section, you can take a progress photo if you want, but there's a little hint, a little dusting of light blue in the field. And I believe you could even use lavender if you wanted to change it up. So I'm starting with that white, tiny, tiny, tiny amount of blue. And I'm not using a really wet brush. I did kind of dry it off and just kind of lightly pressing this on top of the surface, almost like scribbling, really. And it will show the texture of the canvas through, but it is just kind of breaking up that space and giving us one more lighter color, kind of a hint of maybe some wildflowers in the background that aren't quite in focus. This is predominantly for a poppy painting, so we'll be putting kind of orangish, reddish poppies on the left-hand side of the canvas. So again, if you are looking at Monet's original painting, you'll see just kind of that little hint of the haze of the color on the right-hand side of the canvas. And again, like I say in all my paintings, you have full permission to change this and make it your own. So if you want to do a whole field of wildflowers in different colors, go right ahead and adjust for what you want on your painting. I don't think Monet would mind. I certainly don't mind. All right, so now we're going to move into the poppies and we're going to make our own orange. So I started with the yellow and then added a little bit of red to it. And a little bit of red goes a long way to make your orange. And I'm still using that middle flat brush, but if you need to, feel free to grab that small pointy brush. And if you need to rotate the canvas as you are making these little dots, I like calling them blobs. It's nice to paint a blob. That's a flower. And for my first time painters, it makes it approachable when you go, I'm painting a blob. I'm painting a blob. It takes away some of the frustration of trying to get an exact flower on there. So again, just using whichever brush that you are finding comfort with, we're making these little dots. They'll be a little bit bigger towards the bottom of the canvas and a little bit smaller kind of in the middle towards that horizon line. We are overlapping some of those dots and we're also overlapping some of the grass lines that we did earlier on. And again, for my first time painters, you're nervous. So if there's something that you paint and you don't like it, you just let it dry and then you can paint acrylic paint on top of it again with a different color or something more appropriate. And I believe a little further on in the video, I think in the next couple of minutes, I did actually drop some water on there and I had to repaint the background. So it is okay if you do that. You can, like I said, always layer paint on acrylic, layer acrylic paint on top of itself. Basically, I'm just glad you're painting, trying to take away some of the scary aspects of the creative process. And I do want you to paint again after you finish this painting. And what you learn in this one will make more sense the next time that you paint. All right, so filling up those poppies, got a nice little field going, and they did in the original kind of hang out more on that left-hand side. So we're going to add one more pop value. We're going to grab that direct red, and on top of some of these flowers, especially on the ones closer towards the bottom, literally just placing a little dot, and all that's doing is giving us one more darker shadow value on top of that orange. And this little red dot is just kind of being placed on top of the orange. Doesn't have to be exactly in the center. It's again, like I said, just giving our eye one more color to look at. And again, remember to breathe. I do notice so much of my first time painters hold their breath, so that's why I remind you a lot. So we need one more darker color, so I'm actually using that blue to put the little windows in the house, and those are just little dash marks on there. Monet was actually really good at not using black in his paintings. He would use other colors to create his dark shades. And if you get more into painting, I would recommend that you find your avenues to not use black and find other colors to make that darkness. So right here was that part that I was talking about where I dropped water on the canvas and just let it dry, and then I went back and applied the appropriate color. Now I'm grabbing that direct green, still using that middle flat brush, holding it sideways and making dash marks, and imagining that each dash mark is like a blade of grass. So I will be going over that area where I had the water drop on and reapplied the paint. And aside from me telling you and me knowing it's there, most people would never know that that's what happened during the creation process. So a big part of art sometimes is just kind of fixing little, what we call happy accidents, and incorporating them into your painting. All right, and add any of the green, there we go, the dash marks, filling up the space. And I do recommend that you look at this painting from that distance of 5 to 10 feet away, and it usually looks better from that distance. So check that out. But I'm really proud of you guys for stepping out of your comfort zone, giving painting a try. Please don't wait too long to do your next painting. You're just going to keep building on your skills. And painting's not about being perfect, but just kind of continuing to improve your own skills. So thanks again. And until next time, cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting, and I hope how you liked how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for painting at home. As you're uploading your pictures to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy, or email me your pictures, paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing those. I try to post them on social media and encourage other beginners and first-time painters to try painting. So please share this with your community and keep getting creative. If you have any comments, feedback, suggestions, things you want me to paint in the future, go ahead and leave a comment, and I will answer them as quickly as I can and try to get those new paintings in my production list and on the rotation. So thanks again for taking time out of your day to get creative with me. Don't wait too long to do your next one. And until then, cheers.